I'll talk about supply because actually supply and demand for oranges and orange supply comes up in real life. If you do ever buy fruit or any kind of agricultural product at the store, those prices move a lot. And it depends. If you want to buy grapes in summer, they're cheaper because they're grown here, or they don't grow them in winter, they've got to ship them from Chile or overseas. But a lot of times, if you ever do look for fruit, and you go maybe in early spring, they'll have a sign up that says, due to severe frost in Florida, oranges are either not going to be on the shelf, meaning lower quantity, or they'll cost more. And so what happens in real life, if you actually do talk about oranges, is that if there's bad weather, all the oranges die, there's either going to be no oranges or they're going to cost a lot. How do we draw that? Well, if it has to do with oranges on the tree, it's the supply curve. And if it has to do with there being fewer oranges on the tree, it's supply to the left. Right? And so the story that I told, which is the story you'd actually see at the grocery store, is that this equilibrium point doesn't last anymore. You're going to find out that this is the new equilibrium point. And so if you go to the store after the supply of oranges is lower, you're going to find that if the price is still low, they're going to be bought up. There's going to be this shortage. But eventually the store will raise the price to match the scarcity of oranges. And so this shift in supply is going to lead to a higher equilibrium price and a lower equilibrium quantity. That's exactly what you expect. If there's less to buy, people buy less. And it's going to cost more because people are fighting harder for something that is now more scarce. All right, so that's a leftward shift in supply. Now, the final case is a rightward shift in supply. And this happens too, actually. It does happen with things people grow because the next year, orange growers are like, wow, people really made a lot of money on those oranges. If your oranges survived, you made extra profits because you were able to sell your crops for this high price. So what do? They plant more. And so a lot of times in agriculture, people plant too much because everybody's thinking the same thing. So you've got all the fields full because everybody's trying to make that high price that we just saw. But it kind of works in the opposite direction. It works against them in a way that a lot of times people don't see coming. And so everybody plants a lot of oranges. So there's more supply, there's more oranges on the trees. This equilibrium point here is now here. All right, so this equilibrium point moves from here to here. And again, ask yourself, does this make sense if you just talk about it? If there's a lot of something, people are going to buy more of it. But if there's a lot of something, it's going to have a lower price. So this price drops, this quantity increases. And so this is the new equilibrium at a lower price and higher quantity. Now, one thing that trips students up is that you think about this curve. What are consumers doing? One trick, though, is unless there's two things going on at once, you don't have to move both curves at once. This supply curve shifts, and now you say, well, the price has dropped. And if you think about what lower prices do to consumers, you buy more. You don't have to shift the whole curve to show that, though, because if you move from this point to this point, you're going to have more people buying oranges. Simply because there's a lot of cheap oranges out there. So you go to the grocery store and you say, wow, oranges are 39 cents a pound. I'm buying a bag. You're like, I don't even eat oranges. But I'm going to buy some because they're so cheap that I've got to do something with them. And so this movement from here to here is a shift along the curve, the law of demand, an increase in quantity of demand. Because there's so many oranges to buy, there's going to be so many people charging a low price that there's going to be extra demand simply because they're so cheap. So you don't have to move both curves because the consumers are still doing something. They're still going to buy more because it's cheap. That is not a shift in demand. That is a shift in quantity demanded, which is a movement downward on the demand.